Hello and welcome. This is James Blanchard Cisneros. Thank you very much for visiting today. I will be reading, making a couple comments on the July 16th post, and I trust it will assist both of us on our journeys. Here we go. Today, when the ego's programming demands you judge a brother or sister, instead recall that we are one and see the face of Christ, God, Buddha, or any other being you fully love and trust on them. Recall our oneness and know that everything you do or think of your brother or sister, you do and think of yourself and God's source. If it's easier for you to judge, criticize, and condemn your brother and sister than it is Christ, God, Buddha, then you do not have a true understanding of who your brother and sister are. If you deal with your brother and sister through judgment and condemnation, then you do not have a true understanding of who you truly are. Today we say a silent prayer and ask God's source to assist us in seeing our brothers and sisters through the exact same loving, forgiving, and compassion-filled eyes that He, She, Source sees us. We are one. We are an extension of God's source, and our brothers and sisters are an extension of God's source. And so we are connected to our brothers and sisters. Thus, when we judge them, the ego might say to us, oh, if we judge or attack them, it does not affect us. But that is not so. Anything we do or say or think of them, we do and say and think of ourselves. And so those who live in judgment and condemnation still wonder why they can't find true and lasting peace of mind and joy. And that is a good reason why. And so when we judge a brother or sister, we're equally judging God, Source. There is no difference. If you find it easier to judge your brother and sister than to judge God's source, then you don't really know who your brother and sister are, because your brother and sister are God's source. Their truth is God's source. And if you treat your brother and sister with condemnation and judgment, then you really don't know who you are. You haven't remembered yet. Because you and your brother and sister are God's source. And thus what you do to them, you do to yourself. And so today's practice, if you will, is to see the face of God, Christ, Buddha, or whatever loving and trusting being you believe in on your brother and sister. For example, if somebody cuts you off in traffic, instead of seeing a quote-unquote stranger, then instead see the face of Christ driving that car and cutting you off. And it's a little more difficult to judge Christ or God or whatever being you truly love and trust than it is to judge a so-called stranger. And the ego has programmed to see those who you do not remember as strangers. But in truth, because they are you, there are no such thing as strangers. There are just different manifestations of yourself, different manifestations of God, Source on earth. And they are all your brothers and sisters, your sons and daughters, mothers and fathers. And so let's practice that today. Whenever the ego tries or demands that we judge a brother or sister because something they said or did not feel quote-unquote right to us, let us see the face of Christ, of God, of Source, of Buddha on them. And thus let us remember who they truly are. They are not some moment in the past that you bring into the present, and thus fogging over the present, a true present, the gift that it is. They are not some more momentary moment in time. They are an eternal being. Ask yourself, on a journey towards remembering their truth. And when you remember your truth, you will also remember theirs. And when you are in realignment with your truths, you will be at peace and living in joy. And that is your natural state. That is our natural state. A state of peace of mind and joy. Okay. I think that's good enough for today. Let us do that practice. It is a very useful one. I use it almost every day. My connections with the Christ, and I practice seeing the face of Christ in all my brothers and sisters. Like so many times every day, I can't even tell you. But practice it, and it will assist you in remembering who they truly are and who you truly are. And as your love for the Christ, Buddha, God, Source, whatever you decide to call him, is remembered, you will find peace within. You will find joy. And living in that state, you will simply want and desire to offer gratitude to everyone and all. And you will live in a state of grace. And that is exactly where you belong, where we belong. Thank you very much for spending a few minutes of your day with me. I love you very much, and God willing, I will see you tomorrow. Peace.